I'm Myriam.
And I'm Elyse. Two friends bound by the love of books.
Taking on the world one chapter at a time. This is the Book Bound Besties podcast. Hey, Book Bound Besties!
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are diving into Fourth Wing.
Woo!
So we're going to start out today diving into chapters 1 through 3. We're just going to kind of guide you through those 3 chapters and talk about how we felt and reactions and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we are going to be spoiler-free for the rest of the book. Elyse has only read chapters 1 through 3. I've read the whole book twice. So I will be doing my very best poker face whenever she says something that may, tease to something that happens later on in the book or whatever. I don't know. Even if she says something crazy, I will do my best to keep a poker face.
Perfect.
Okay.
I wrote synopses for each chapter.
Okay.
So I will read my synopsis for chapter 1.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about the tone of it, so let me know how we feel about these at the end. Okay.
Okay, wait, hold on. Before we jump into the synopses, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
My little keener.
Yes.
Because there are little blurbs in the beginning of the book before chapter 1 that I wanted to ask you about. If you've noticed them, what your thoughts are before we get into the story, because this is before the story.
Okay.
Okay. So on the page following the dedication, we see a blurb that says, is this in your synopsis or am I?
No, it's not.
Okay,
I
perfect.
meant to talk about that first, but I got excited.
Okay, it's fine. Okay. The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jesinia Neilwort, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Melech.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I thought it was really cool. I love when authors put this was based on real events, even if it wasn't really, just to bring you into it.
Okay. What do you think about the Navarian into the modern language?
I find that interesting.
Okay.
Because I actually find one of the things I wanted to talk about is the tone that it's written in.
Okay.
Feels extremely modern.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Okay.
So though the book is set in another realm, another world, whatever, the characters feel very current and feel like they could be just you and I chatting. The way they speak, their side comments, everything is very current feeling. So, which makes it easier to relate to. So I thought that was really clever.
That's actually a critique of the book.
Oh, I like it.
I liked it too. It really didn't bother me, but a lot of people actually think that it should have been an urban fantasy, kind of like, you haven't read it yet, but Crescent City, which is Sarah J. Maas's most recent novel or series in her multiverse, which is a modern fantasy. I'd never read a modern fantasy, so I found that Crescent City to be really interesting because there's magic and there's creatures and whatever, but they're set in a world with cell phones and the internet. Okay. Which is kind of weird. But anyway, so that's what people have been saying about the way that Fourth Wing is written, is that it should have been. But yeah, it did.
I mean, that's fair. I guess people want their fantasy to be written very much like fantasy, but because I've never read anything like this written that way, I thought it was new and exciting.
Me too.
And I find it easier to relate to the characters.
Absolutely.
I feel like they could be people I work with or friends or whatever.
Totally.
Which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think about the phrase, all events are true and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen?
I'm going to try not to think about it too much.
Okay.
Because it makes me a little sad.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. I also, before reading, I studied. I looked at the map.
Okay.
I tend to not pay attention. I'm a type of reader that I'll just jump straight to the story.
Same.
I rarely look at anything before. I don't read the dedication, usually I don't read the acknowledgements, but just because like they're not for me, they're for the people who know the author or who have helped and stuff. So like I love that they're there, and I think we should honor those people, but like it's not for me. So like I just never felt the need to read it. But in this case, I took my time and like I looked at the map and I read the dedication and stuff. And like the world map is cool, but because I didn't know what anything was, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I did like the school map because I liked being able to place, as I was reading in my head, kind of where they were, like what was around them and stuff to help me like build the world in my mind as well.
For sure.
So I thought that was cool.
For sure. So, okay, you even beat me to
Sorry.
the map. That's fine. Now, the other thing that I thought I wasn't sure, maybe you would overlook, maybe you wouldn't think it was important, but I highly encourage you to pay attention to are the little blurbs at the beginning of every chapter.
Yes.
Okay, you paid attention.
Yeah, well, I read, yeah.
You read
that.
that. No, some people, like I know people who have read this book who have completely disregarded it.
Yeah, because I mean, the way she has structured it is it like foreshadows a little bit what's going to happen in each chapter.
You are so smart.
So that's why I was, paying attention.
Okay. That was those were my little interruptions, the little things that I wanted to talk to you about before we jumped into your synopsis. So I am all ears.
Okay. We're introduced to our heroine, Violet Sorrengail, who is about to attend Basgaith War College. It is conscription day, where all the new recruits start their journey to make it into the college. Though Violet wants to join the scribe quadrant.
Scribe?
Let's try that one again.
The scribes.
I'm not going to be able to bounce back from that. Okay, no, I will. Okay. Though Violet...
I'm not going to look at you.
Don't drink your tea, because if you do a spit take right now...
Okay.
The worst part is, I didn't hear it.
You did?
No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. Though Violet wants to...
Why is this so funny?
I don't know. We're like too excited. Oh, okay.
Good.
Scribe. Though Violet wants to join the scribe quadrant, she is voluntold to join the writer's quadrant by the general of the school, her mother. We learn that Violet was ill as a child, and it has left her weaker than most. Between living up to her family legacy and learning that the son of their sworn enemy, Xaden Ryerson, is a wing leader, the odds are stacked against her. We leave Violet just before her first test at the parrot pit.
Yeah.
So that's chapter 1.
That's chapter 1. So I'll just start with my first impression from the very first few sentences. I don't know why I thought this when I first read the book, but for whatever reason, I felt like the main character was either a child or a teenager and not a young adult.
I was surprised to learn she was 20.
Okay.
I thought she was a teenager as well.
Yeah, it just read like a little bit immature. I wasn't sure because there was an emphasis on her weakness or her small size. I don't know, but I just got the vibe, or like maybe like the vibe of going to the principal. I don't know what it was.
Maybe. I think also like a lot of these books are usually set in more high school environments or whatever. Like,
but this is an adult book.
There's
absolutely
I know
nothing.
That. No, I guess
young
that's
adult.
True. That's true. That's true. But also, I think she's going to meet her mom.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes when we're faced with our parents or whatever, we kind of revert back to childish reactions because or in family in general, like there's certain roles that you played in that family or like dynamics in those relationships that are hard to shake off even into adulthood.
Yeah, that's a very astute observation. That makes perfect sense.
I don't know.
Okay, but it's funny that we both had the same impression.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, from the get-go, like already just like the setting of the school and the concept of like dragon riding and the different quadrants and everything, I was like, I'm in. Like,
Really?
yeah, it checks so many boxes for me. Like, it's 100% the type of book I'm gonna like. So from the get-go, I was like, yes, let's do this. And then, like, we go, and the first scene is, like, an all-female scene, too, which is, like, kind of cool. So I was, like, excited by that.
I didn't even think about it that way. I just felt unsettled. Like, the first couple pages, definitely the first page, the first couple pages, I just felt so unsettled. Knowing it's conscription day, knowing, you know, obviously I don't know what conscription means, or conscription day means in this world, but in life, I know what conscription means. So that's kind of nerve-wracking, unsettling, the fact that she's not meant to be there.
So you felt Violet's emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because we know that Violet is not ready for whatever is about to come.
Right.
I just felt really anxious right from the start. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, we meet her sister and her mom. Her sister is fantastic. I love her already.
Yeah.
Like, she's just
Quintessential big sister.
Yeah. Caring, strong, like, badass. Like,
Yeah.
I thought she was really cool and protective too.
Yeah. That's exactly what I had written when I, you know, reread it now, because obviously I read it before, that she is behaving in exactly the way you want a big sister to behave. Like, she's got her back. Later on in the chapter, we see she's, you know, redone her pack to make sure that it was not too heavy. She did her hair. You know, like, all of these, she really looked out for her in a way that I thought was really sweet. And that contrast, and the way she has Violet's back contrasts so dramatically the mom's attitude.
Yeah. So last episode, you asked me things, and, like, one of the things I brought up was, like, oh, like, nepotism. That's why people don't like her, because like, people are like, oh, you're only here because of who your mom is or whatever. But I was not prepared for how cold this woman is.
Yeah.
Like, because nepotism can go, I guess, one of two ways. Or, like, when a person is in a position of authority, it's like, either, like, I'm going to coddle you and I'm going to push you through life and I'm going to help you and support you and make sure you get everything because I have the power to do so. Or the opposite, which is what General Sorengale decided to do, is like, I'm going to make your life difficult. You're going to earn this.
Yeah.
And, like, she basically says, like, I'm not going to acknowledge you for the next 3 years.
Which I have a problem. Like, they know she's your daughter. You could at least say hi. Like, I don't understand why there needs to be this degree of coldness.
But she doesn't even, like, hug her. Her daughter might be going to die, and she, like, doesn't even hug her goodbye.
Yeah, like, you would expect her mom to be more concerned about her well-being.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
And, like, I mean, they allude to like, they had another sibling who died, and I think he was the favorite, just the way it was said.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously this woman has been through a lot of loss and stuff, and maybe has been hardened and cold by it, but, like, I just can't imagine sending your child off to quite possibly die and, like, just not caring.
Yeah, and it made me wonder, I mean, this girl trained her whole life to be a scribe. Clearly, during her whole life where she was training to be a scribe, the mom was okay with it and knew about it. And now all of a sudden she has to be a writer. Like, why?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I know.
Very weird.
It is very weird.
We may get answers about it later.
Oh, okay.
We may not.
They also, like, they talk about a lot Violet's weak body.
Yeah, so this came out after the book was published. It came out after the book was published that Violet's condition is EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which actually Rebecca Yarros and her sons all have this condition.
Okay.
So it's a condition that affects your joints. It makes you have I think it has to do with your joints and your cartilage and your ligaments, something like that.
Okay.
So obviously it's not ever explicitly said in the book that Violet has this condition, but she was very much inspired by the challenges or kind of what happens to her body is very much inspired by the challenges that Rebecca herself experienced as well as her sons.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, not cool that they have that, but
well, cool
I like that she was able to write it into a story. And
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to having chronic illness and all of that.
So. Absolutely.
So I wrote down a line that, and I'll bring it up again later, but there was a line that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And explicitly says the prohibited power of mind reading. Mm-hmm. So just going to mark that, and I'll bring it up in chapter 3.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I noticed a few things as well in the conversation that Violet was having with her mom. I noticed that her mom is talking about the dad in a really weird way. Mm-hmm. Like when she said, for example, I told him not to keep you in the library. But like I mentioned earlier, her mom's one of the parents too. Mm-hmm. So you would think that if the mom had a, principled reason for why Violet couldn't become a scribe or that she shouldn't be in the library or whatever, that the mom would have stepped in and intervened. I just can't imagine such a siloed method of parenting. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why something that has been okay for, let's say, 19 of Violet's 20 years, now all of a sudden is not okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened in their relationship or whatever. And
but this is a really crucial aspect of parenting. Everyone in Navarre essentially has to pick between these 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
This is mandatory. So
why wasn't it agreed upon before?
Exactly.
Or what flipped the switch?
Exactly. Yeah. You absolutely, you turn 20, you absolutely either need to become a healer, a scribe, an infantry soldier, or a rider. This isn't a surprise. This is known to be a thing.
I mean, maybe it was always a point of contention. I don't know.
But I feel like I don't know. If it were always a point of contention, wouldn't it have come up early? It just seems, to me, again, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe we're just harping on something for no reason. But it appears as though 6 months ago something happened. Mm-hmm. And everything changed,
When I was first reading the way she speaks about the father, I thought they were divorced or separated or something, but then it comes up he's dead, right?
Yeah, so the dad died a year ago.
Okay.
I think.
I don't remember the timeline.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a year ago. His heart gave out or whatever. But the mom talked about him kind of longingly.
Yeah.
She does have a sweet moment with her daughter about, saying there's so much of your father in you or something like that. So
that's true.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about this woman, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, it's so dumb, but I couldn't get out of my mind, is they say that the parapet is 18 inches.
Yeah.
Which I understand at the height, 18 inches is narrow, but 18 inches is not narrow.
No, I know.
You could comfortably fit 2 feet next to each other.
But also,
so the fact that they kept harping on the fact that it's 18 inches as if it's oh my God, the smallest thing, I was no.
But also, who says you can't crawl? Who says you can't shimmy on your butt?
But is that a rule?
Nobody mentions it. Why does everybody insist on walking?
Walking, because you have to show your bravery.
Yeah, that's true.
The ego. I feel there's a lot of ego in
there's
the riders
I think that's true.
quadrant.
Yes, and there's also we'll get to it in a bit, but there's also an emphasis on not being the weakest link. Yeah. Because you're gonna, if you are weak, then you're putting your wing mates at risk.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we'll get to it after. But when Violet not trips but slips, she could have just crawled the rest of the way.
That's what I thought.
That's just what I think. I will die on this hill.
But I know. So there was anyway, some logistical things that I was are we really? Okay. Anyway, here we go.
Okay. So what did you think of the number of people who die on conscription day?
In general? The general number of people?
Yeah, what do you think? So you're newly into this world, and you're kind of launched right into a conversation, this wild family dynamic. You've got the cold mom, you've got the protective sister, and then you find out that they're all fighting over the fact that tons of people die on conscription day. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a really hard word for us to say. Conscription.
I guess it's shocking when you actually hear the numbers and stuff, and they talk about the field with all the headstones and stuff, but I guess it's kind of crazy to think that people volunteer for this, but at the same time, I just assumed it's one of those things that from birth you're told it's an honor, so people just do it. I feel
cool.
And it's cool to do it. And if you die, at least you died trying to be a dragon rider, and that's just an accepted thing in their society. So I didn't think too hard on it. I'm okay, this is how their society works, and that's that. I mean, I don't know if I'd volunteer, but
Yeah, I don't know. Why are we talking like reality or my Delulu? Okay, before we keep going, there's a few other things that stuck out to me that I don't know if you noted down. So at one point, they're having a conversation. I think Mira just dealt her mom a low blow about being eager to bury another child, which, whew.
Yep.
And you hear that the temperature in the room drops, courtesy of the moms of General Sorrengail's storm-wielding signet power.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yes, but I didn't know what that was until I think in the 3rd chapter, they talk about how the dragons give you signet powers and stuff.
Okay.
So, like, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
And then
Later on. Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we kind of talked about it before, but I was saying how I loved how Mira was being like the best older sister. But the other thing that I really loved that just made me be like, oh, was I felt like she was really paying it forward. Yeah. Because Brennan had done all this with her.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. Yeah, I really like that a lot. And I think that's why she also put in that much more effort, because she's like, you know, like, someone did this for me and I know how much I needed it, so now I'm going to do this for you. And like,
and I don't want to lose another sibling. I want to give them as much of a leg up as I can. And I just also kind of like pictured myself where, like, if it were my sister, I would be so anxious and like stressed, and I would feel so helpless in front of a situation where clearly, I mean, I tried to get her out of it. I did my best. I dealt low blows and I yelled and I did all these things and it didn't work. So now I just feel like I need to do something.
Yeah.
To have some semblance of control.
Yeah. And still do the most that she can in that situation, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, like, obviously I thought about that whole situation too, like being a big sister. Like, we both are big sisters. We both have little sisters. Yeah. So it's like, it's hard. Like, I wouldn't be as composed as Mira was. Like,
oh my gosh, I'd be a wreck.
I am very emotional.
I cry at diaper commercials. Are you kidding? Like, I cried at the drop of a hat. I just hear something like remotely touching and I have a giant lump in my throat.
Same.
Like, I would just be a disaster.
Same. Even just like retelling something that made me cry, I will cry again.
Okay, so this is really random, but did you watch Queen Charlotte? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the like very, very end, spoiler for the end of Queen Charlotte. But
skip ahead if you haven't seen Queen Charlotte.
Yeah, but if you haven't, like, what are you doing? Go watch it. It was incredible. So you know, like the end where they go under the bed?
Yeah.
I literally, I even like feel
I know, I just got like chills.
I feel like coming back up. I told my cousin hadn't watched it. And I told her, I was like, you absolutely need to watch it. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, I'm going to cry just thinking about it. And she's like, no, like, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, I'm literally going to cry, like, if I tell you. Yeah. And she goes, no, tell me. So I start to tell her about it, and I literally start sobbing.
Yeah. I'm the same way, though. I'm 100% the same way. I'm a big ball of goo. So...
Mush is my favorite texture.
I feel like that's just going to be like a sound bit.
Yep.
Anyway. And then they move into the courtyard. Yes. Ready to move along?
Yeah, I have a few. Okay, so I had a few other things that I noted from the bedroom. So I noticed that. So I'm a chronic overpacker. Mm-hmm. I'm somebody who used to bring an entire carry-on luggage of books before I got an e-reader when I'd go on vacation. Like, I love just having a bunch of choice of books anyway. Yeah. So I identified so much with Violet when she was freaking out with Mira taking out the books from her bag. I'm like, oh, yes, I feel you. I've been there, like, 100%. Also, how many times in real life have you heard people use the term thrice?
So...
Please don't tell me you've actually heard people say that.
Yeah, but I was going to say, in the context of, like, I'm with theater people. So, like, I work with theater people. If we're working on plays, like Shakespearean plays or whatever, people start to talk funny. Okay. Like, just for the fun of it. So, like, that's not wild to me, but I could understand in a real world context, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, nobody says that. But, like, nobody says that, but everyone says that in fantasy books.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay, so I just, like, wanted to... okay, and then when Mira calls Violet out for reading the Book of Folklore, like 1,000 times, again, I felt
called out.
I felt personally attacked because there is nothing wrong with being a rereader, Mira. Okay? There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with it. No.
Okay, so now we can leave the bedroom and go into the
courtyard.
Into the courtyard, yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, there were so many people. Like, I'm still baffled by how many people volunteer for this. But anyway, the main thing that like really stuck with me in the courtyard, though, is we learn that about the rebellion and that the children of the betrayed are marked.
Yeah.
Or by the betrayers. Children of the betrayers of the rebellion are marked. And like...
It's the rebellion leaders' children.
Okay, I thought it was everyone who was a rebel's children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it made me upset. Because I was just like... And I get it. Like, it needs to happen in this fantasy world, whatever. But it's just like, I hate blaming children for who their parents are. Mm-hmm. Like, being held to who your parents are, being held to the standards of your parents and, like, whatever. And, like, I get when we're children, like, we are a result of our parents and stuff. But, like, as we grow up, like, we have the opportunity to unlearn and change. And these kids are, like, barely 20. They haven't had the opportunity to unlearn and change. And I just felt like it made me sad, like, that they're already boxed so young and so permanently.
Yep.
Like, physically being marked and stuff. Anyway, so, like, I took a little pause at that moment to know it made me, like, a bit upset. But anyway. That's how I feel about
you
that.
You are so much more of an intuitive reader than I am. I just was like, okay, next. Like, I did not take 2 seconds to think about that at all. That was very deep.
I know, too deep. Don't worry. My next thought was really dumb. Okay. But like, I'm also reading it more intuitively and like, I'm taking my time with it. And basically Violet is talking about all the students and how they're entering the building. And she's like, oh, the infantry get to walk through the doors and it's at ground level. And then she says, we have to climb. Dun, dun, dun. And my dumb brain goes, oh my God, they have to scale the building, which was not it. But then I also thought they had to scale the building. And I was like, that makes sense. That's why so many people die. That's why they're exhausted at the parapet and more people fall off. Like, it makes sense. But no, she meant climb stairs.
So. Yeah. But I mean, in your defense... well, actually, it's not really in your defense, but this is the girl that gets really tired going upstairs. She was super tired and winded going upstairs to go see her mom's office. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I don't know. My brain just, not smart. It's okay. Moving on.
Okay, so, you know what I realized is we can just go back to the video. Yeah, but whatever, it's okay. Then... Did we miss the whole conversation about the Harry Potter? Yeah. Okay.
So we're in the courtyard.
And Mira tells Violet to go find Dane.
Right.
And when I first read this, I felt all warm and fuzzy. I was just like, she's in a scary place and she's going to find her old best friend and he's going to take care of her and she's going to feel safe and she hasn't spoken to him in a year because he's been in the writer's quadrant. And yeah, I just felt like so excited for her that she was finally going to see somebody and like have someone in her corner when she got up there.
Yeah. And we see she's excited too. Like that whole section did make me really excited. I did find it weird how Mira presented Dane. Like I felt there was a weird detachment because... Like, obviously they're friends. So the way she's like, oh, go find Dane. This is who he is. I haven't been here in a while, but I heard he's doing well. Like, it felt very detached, where it's very clear by the rest of it, they're best friends. So obviously she would naturally go find Dane.
Yeah, but I think it's because he is doing well. I think that's the part we need to focus on. Because if he were just any other second year... I think it would have been natural, like Mira would have known, yeah, she's going to go find Dane, it's fine. But because Dane, we later find out, is squad leader,
right?
Because we find out later that Dane is a squad leader, he's in a position of power, he could protect her. So it's like double whammy, go find him because he will
protect you
and take care of you.
That's fair.
Then I found it like so funny and so like big sister that she was like, don't smile like that, he's a second year.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sure.
So we get the kind of unwritten rule that you shouldn't sleep with someone who's above you.
Yeah. And also just very, like, blatantly, like, everyone sleeps around here, so we know.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's just, like, we know what's coming, you know? Like,
yeah.
That's what it felt, so.
Hey, they're in college.
They are in college.
So it makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so they're in line. Mm-hmm. Obviously, nerves, anxiety, people, bully. Mm-hmm. And we see that there's two people, a guy and a girl, standing in front of Violet in line. And there's a lot of description about them. So obviously these people are important. So my mind automatically goes, Harry, Ron, Hermione. Like, these are going to be the three best friends. These are going to be the three people that we're going to be with for the rest of the books. I got kind of Harry and Ron in the train compartment vibes because I just saw they're at a crossroads. Like, well, Harry and Ron, they're at a transition point, right? Mm-hmm. They're going from being children to being wizards. Mm-hmm. And they're, you know, the train is this metaphor for the transition and fine, whatever. And here, Violet is also at a transition point. She's going from being free to, you know, entering into the Rider's Quadrant. So I thought it made a lot of sense to introduce, like, the two friends.
Right.
And so for me, like, I automatically thought that it would be a trio because Harry, Ron, Hermione. In Throne of Glass, there's Dorian, Kale, Selena. It just makes sense. Like, 3 names, 3 people, whatever. We have Draco Malfoy behind us. Like, we're good. Like, this is familiar territory.
Yeah, I thought right away though that one of them was going to die.
I mean, again, this is the difference between you and me. Like, I just what do I say all the time? I am easily manipulable. Yeah. The author introduced 2 friends. She's going to have 2 friends.
I don't know. I just got a feeling. I was like, people die, everyone dies. Like, she's going to hit us in the face. Chapter 1, let's go.
No, like, you were right. Like, I'm mean, you were right.
But I didn't know which one until later. Like, when Xaden spoke to Rhiannon, I was like, oh, she's going to survive. Dylan's dead. Like,
you know, it's funny because when I look back, I think that it was more obvious. It is more obvious to me looking back that Dylan would die than Rhiannon because we learn more about Dylan. So you get more invested in him. So it like hurts you more that he dies.
And we find out he had a whole life plan.
Exactly. Yeah. So it fair. Like hurts you more from the get-go. And it also, it primes you for loss. Like, this book is going to break me.
Oh, it sets a tone for sure. I was like, okay, this is how we're gonna play. Like, let's go. You know?
Yeah. The whole Xaden thing really didn't. To me, it was more like it gave you a little bit more insight into Xaden and into Violet than it did anything with Rhiannon, because basically Xaden is sizing her up. He's like, this is my enemy's like daughter, but she doesn't know this girl, and they've got mismatched boots. Like, what's going on? Yeah. Like, for him, he's the only plausible reason that they would have done that is if they were friends.
Right.
And we find out that they weren't. They just met.
Right.
So he's like, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that whole boot switch thing, first of all, is super smart.
Yeah.
But also speaks volumes as to, like, who Violet is as a person. Like,
I would not do that.
Well, that's insane, right?
Says more about me than,
no, but I 100%, I think most people wouldn't think to do that or want to do that when you already know how stacked the odds are against you. Yeah. You're about to literally walk out to your death, and you still take the time to be like, this girl is going to die if I don't help her. I'm going to help her.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's a huge, like, clue to who Violet is as a person.
For sure. So now we've introduced Xaden.
We have. Quite like the description, I gotta say.
Like, drool-worthy description.
I definitely reread that.
Yeah. And actually, after having read SJM, the fact that she calls him the most exquisite man she's ever seen makes you think something is definitely gonna happen there.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's actually how, I don't know if you remember, spoiler alert for ACOTAR, that's how Feyre described Rhys. The first time she ever saw him is she said, he's the most beautiful, I think, like, the most beautiful man I'd ever seen.
Like in the forest? The first time they see each other?
Yeah, Calanmai.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I did not know that. But I like that little Easter egg.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the end of the chapter.
So it's time to introduce our awards.
Let's hear them.
Okay. So we've decided we want to play a little game. And for every chapter, we'll see how long we keep this up, but for every chapter we want to award are the most romantic moment, the funniest or cheesiest moment, and the spiciest moment.
Yeah.
So we've each selected lines.
I'll let you go first. I think
Okay.
when we do this, I think I'm going to give you dibs because
Okay.
this is your first.
Yeah, but it's okay if we end up choosing the same, if we
I know.
already chose the same one.
I know.
Okay, so I've never tabbed a book in my life, and for this I tabbed
Love it.
the passages. Okay, so.
Is this the funniest or the...
I'm going to start with romantic.
Okay.
The way Violet describes Dane the first time his name is brought up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be very dramatic right now, almost made me cry.
Stop.
Because I think a lot of authors who are like middle-aged women and stuff forget how to write either teenagers or young people.
Okay.
And the way she is talking about Dane is so pure and simple and so how you have a crush when you're young.
Okay.
And I thought it was really beautiful.
Love that.
Which is like, I'm so romanticizing the dumbest thing. Like, I feel like I'm laying it on
you're doing
thick.
so good.
But like, I'm also a romantic. So like this passage just like made
Look,
me...
I'm going to be honest. I did not have a most romantic line for this chapter.
You didn't pick one?
Nope.
Okay. I can't help but smile at the thought of seeing Dane again. And my heart rate jumps. It's been a year. I've missed his soft brown eyes, the way he laughs, the way every part of his body joins in. I've missed our friendship, the moments I thought it might turn into more under the right circumstances. I've missed the way he looks at me, like I'm someone worth noticing. I've just missed him.
Aw. I mean,
Like, is that not
it is really sweet.
what you want
Yeah.
when you have a crush when you're young?
Yeah.
Like, you just want that person to look at you that
Yeah.
way more than anything. Yeah. So that's why I chose that.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it to you. You know what? I agree.
Yeah.
I'm buying in.
Okay.
I'm buying in. Most romantic line. Done.
Perfect. And then funniest, which it's super cheesy. It just made me giggle. I happen to know a writer whose powers can make big who can make big things very small. A devious smile plays across her lips, and smaller things much, much bigger. I died. I was like, that is the cheesiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God. So funny.
I picked the exact same
I
one.
love that you picked the same one. That's great. And then finally,
Spiciest line.
spiciest. Again, it kind of like almost is funny too, but I just really loved the line was, gets you into trouble and you like it kind of level of hot.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay, mine is not a line, but it's like a moment.
Okay.
I don't know why. But the fact that Xaden doesn't take his eyes off of Violet, even when Dylan is falling off the parapet, was like oddly hot.
Yeah. The tension.
Yeah.
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 It's already building.
So to me,
like
that was
it.
the spiciest bit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's so funny. All right.
And that's it.
And that's
for
chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Yeah.
On to chapter 2.
Okay. So, chapter 2.
Starting off with a bang because Dylan is
dead.
gone.
Yeah. I'm going to read the synopsis, yeah?
Let's go.
Okay. We follow Violet in her first task of crossing the parapet through a dangerous storm. Yaros cleverly uses Violet's calming technique as a way to lay out the world-building paragraphs. Another student, Jack Barlow, proves he will murder his way to a dragon and puts a target on Violet's back. With her list of enemies already growing, we get to see that Violet has some fight in her yet, so don't count her out.
Love that. Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure if you put these two things together when you were reading. Likely you did, because you are more intuitive than I was. But there's a storm coming while Violet is about to cross the parapet.
Yeah.
What's her mother's signet power?
Well, she made the room cold, but now that you're saying that, I'm assuming she controls the weather?
It's fine. I'm giving you too much credit. I'm kidding. No, when they're in the general's office and they're getting into a fight and the temperature drops.
Yeah.
Violet says that her mom has a storm wielding signet.
Oh, okay. See, my brain didn't remember
That's okay.
that.
This is my third time going through the book. Like, it's fine. So her mom's signet allows her to wield storms. So it makes you think, because It's either that she caused the storm so that her daughter would be killed crossing the parapet, or she chose actively not to stop the storm that would give her daughter a better chance at crossing the parapet and making it safely. So it just makes you think.
Or, I mean, is her storm-wielding powers, like, she has control, or is it, like...
Yeah, she can make it
emotional
storm.
thing. Okay.
No, she can make it storm.
Oh. So
Yeah.
she made the storm.
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
It just makes you think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Like, it's kind of... I didn't catch it, but now that I'm aware, it's upsetting. Like, I don't know. But maybe she made it very clear she wasn't going to help Violet, and she was going to ignore her. So, which makes me think she didn't make the storm, but she chose not to help her through the storm either.
But she's a mom.
Yeah, but we've already seen she's not a very warm mom.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just strikes me as really odd.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't catch it though, but yeah, it's upsetting. Anyway, so Violet starts her journey over the parapet.
Yep.
And the storm picks up.
Yep.
At least she has one good boot because, oh my goodness, she would have probably fallen to her death otherwise.
For sure. And so would Rhiannon.
And so would Rhiannon. And we do get little glimpses of, like, how Rhiannon's doing. Like, she mentioned seeing her. She's like, oh, Rhiannon's at the halfway mark and stuff. So we also, like, she's still, despite the situation, she is still worried and looking out for Rhiannon.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cute.
It is. Shows what a nice person she is. I would have been so focused on, like, oh my gosh, this is so scary.
Yeah.
Zayden Risden's right there. Jack Barlow's behind me.
How are you with heights?
Okay, so I get, like, nervous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not great with heights. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't actively want to cross the parapet. But like we were saying before, it's 18 inches. Like, that's a foot and a half. Like, that can't be that bad.
I agree. I'm still like, I don't think 18 inches and saying it multiple times was a good call.
Yeah.
But
they also keep repeating they're 200 feet in the air.
right. And like, so I'm
there's
not afraid.
wind.
I'm not afraid of heights, but I do get like, that weak in the knees feeling if I feel like I could fall. So I think that alone would make it challenging.
And the adrenaline, like, you're probably like shakier.
Yeah. But last year I went skydiving.
Which is insane.
And it's weird because I felt like it was so surreal that my body didn't know how to process it, that it wasn't scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because when you fall, like, physically, if you slip and fall, like, your body gets that, like, feeling.
Yeah.
Jumping out of a plane, I didn't get that feeling because my body didn't know how to register it. So I was free falling and I was just like, oh, this is a lot of wind. This is weird. And I'm like, okay, just try to breathe through the wind, I guess. Like, my brain didn't know how to.
Interesting. I wonder if that's common.
I don't know. And also, I think because I was strapped in, I felt safe. So, like, actively, my brain was like, you're safe. It doesn't, like, you're okay. So it's almost like, I disassociated from the fall itself.
That's healthy.
I know. I don't know. And then once your parachute actually is out, it's one of the coolest feelings in the world.
I'll take your word for it.
It feels like you're, like, floating above the world. Because you still, again, don't feel yourself falling. So it feels like you're actually suspended above the world. Anyway, it was a huge side story. That's my views on falling.
Okay. I'll take your word for it because you'd have to pay me big money to jump out of a plane.
Yeah. So if I were to fall off the parapet, though, and not be strapped in, maybe I'd feel like I'm falling.
Yeah. Maybe. Especially because you'd have, no parachute.
You
know you're dying.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thoughts on Jack Barlow?
Like, quintessential bully. He's, like, so mean. Just chirping Violet already from the get-go. But then, I did not think he was going to turn around, pick up a child, and throw it off the parapet. Like,
throw it.
But, like, why? What is he trying to prove?
I know. I found him, like, oddly aggressive from the jump. Like, what's this guy's problem? I don't get
know.
it. Like, okay, if, let's say, we're thinking down the line, if he ended up in Violet's wing and her weakness actually had an impact on him and his success and his, ability to move forward and to grow and blah, 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 fine. Like, I still don't think it warrants that level of aggression, but it makes sense. Like, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But the guy has met her for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
She has no bearing on him, his ability to cry. Like, it just, why?
I don't know. And the other thought I had was like, okay, the other riders who are actually riders, not
like Zayden and the other person like taking the
see
names.
this happen.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, oh, you're a liability. I don't want you on my squad. Like,
yes.
because the kill was innocent.
Yeah.
You know, like he took this kid and threw him, and it's just like there was no reason for it. That kid didn't prove he was weak. I understand they're all focused on like having the strongest squads and stuff, but it just felt like the kill was for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's the aspect of there are always more rider candidates than there are dragons. Mm-hmm. So the more people you eliminate, the higher your odds of bonding with a dragon.
Yeah.
So I get that. I also think there might be some like weird backwards psychology there where if Jack shows that he's like big and strong, he'll have the respect of like leadership because he mentions how he wants to be wing leader one day.
Yeah.
So there's that too, maybe by impressing, you know.
I just don't know who would be impressed by that.
Well, that's the thing. We really
maybe,
don't know much about this society, about leadership,
fair.
about, you know, what is rewarded. So, you know, he would know even less.
Yeah.
Unless he had riders in his family or whatever, which I don't think he does. Does he?
I don't know.
I don't remember. So
anyway, so yeah, I didn't like him, and I was like, from the get-go, I was like, I cannot wait for this guy to get what's coming to him. Like, anyway. So we're on the parapet.
Yeah.
Violet, her calming technique.
Yeah. I thought that was a really neat
Well, that's
little literary
that's why I
device.
put it in my synopsis, because like I was like, that is such a smart way to be like, let's lay out the world, because we jump right into the story.
Yes.
Like a lot of books will lay out the world at the beginning, and like we didn't do that, so it was a good way to kind of interject like, this is how the world's set up. Whatever. It was a lot of information though.
Yeah, it took me a few times to reread it to kind of fully grasp what it was that.
Don't quiz me on it.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, as it is with a lot of fantasy books, the world building is a bit overwhelming for me at first. Like, I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I will accept and move on. And if I have any questions or if this ends up being really critical information, I will either come back to it or most likely, which is usually what happens in books, the author will repeat themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't really like worry about it too much. I just focused on the fact that like, oh, she's like a little nerd and she's repeating factoids as she's experiencing something scary.
I liked it. It was good. Anyway, the whole time Jack is there taunting her, coming for her. It's pretty stressful.
But like, this guy is just so committed to killing her.
I know.
Somebody he just met. Like, it's just weird. It's just bizarre.
I
like
know.
There's a few screws loose in this guy.
But then at the end, finally, she turns around and pulls out a dagger and holds it to his balls. Yeah. And I was so satisfied in that moment.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, I like this girl.
Yeah.
I like this girl a lot.
Because again, like, it shows she's got spice and
she's
got
spunky.
Yeah. She has a fight in her. Like, maybe her body can't keep up with what she would like for it to do. Yeah. And kind of betrays her in that way. But like, she's really smart. And she has a fire. Yeah. So already you're like, okay, like, I like this girl. I'm going to root for her. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Yeah. Oh, so during the whole parapet thing, she slips. Yeah. And I felt like it was such a like quintessential like horror movie moment. Like, the killer's coming for you and he's like, I'm going to get you. And then she like trips and falls and you're like, oh no. Like, it was just like laid out exactly like a horror movie would be, which is great. I love slashers, so I was like, wonderful. It's okay. Anyway, it made me giggle.
It just had me like, okay. Let's just like,
yeah. And that's it. I mean, it's a short chapter.
Yeah, so. It was a short chapter. I think chapter 1 was really heavy. There was a lot to discuss there. Chapter 2 is like setting us up now for chapter 3. Okay.
That being said,
award time.
Did you choose awards?
I chose a funniest line. Okay. I didn't have a spiciest or most romantic.
I have a romantic one.
Do you really?
You're gonna laugh.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I had to obviously not every chapter is gonna have all these things, so I took a very different angle with the romantic one, but I still think it's quite romantic.
Let's hear it.
Violet Sorrengail, I answer as the thunder cracks above me, the sound oddly comforting. I've always loved the nights where storms beat against the fortress window, both illuminating and throwing shadows over the books I curled up with, though this downpour might just cost me my life.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. I approve. I love it. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my favorite. I mean, and I think a lot of readers would say that.
Yeah.
Like, curling up with a good book.
Yeah.
The sound of the rain.
Yeah.
You're in your comfortable blanket,
Absolutely.
all cozy. You have your tea or coffee or whatever drink of choice. Like, it's romantic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Smart girl. I like you thinking outside the box.
And then you said you picked a funniest.
Yeah.
So you go.
No. I think this is going to be a trend. I want to know if we picked the same line.
Yeah. So you could go first.
No, you go.
Cadet Sorrengail has you by the actual balls here in more ways than one.
Okay, so it's from the same part.
Yeah.
But I have, what's it going to be, Sorrengail, the male writer asks. You going to have Jack here start as a eunuch?
Oh, also very funny.
That's what I had. No, go.
I was going to say, I tagged that whole part as spiciest too, because like...
Because it has to do with balls.
Well, because like, though it wasn't done in a sexy way, it could have been
spicy.
done.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
So that was the only spice I could find in the chapter.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I just loved how the older writers are so unfazed by this move that is like objectively badass that Violet does. Like the speed that she did it, the balls she needed to, no pun intended, to go after Jack. Like the fact that, I don't know, it was just yeah.
Yeah, and when I read like everything the writers said, like I read it very like nonchalant, monotone. I was like, they don't give a like.
They've seen. This is not their first rodeo.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, chapter 3.
Yes, chapter 3.
First thing I wrote. Dane is here!
No! Okay, do you want me to read the synopsis?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I feel like...
I got too excited.
It's okay. Okay, first test behind her, the reality of Violet's condition sets in. Her body starts to ache, risking others finding out about her illness. Sweet and protective, Dane steps in, whisks her off to his dorm so he could take care of her out of sight. We get moments of tenderness and tension before it is time to rejoin the cadets for the next task. Out in the Dragon Rotunda, the cadets are assigned their wings, and we get their first glimpses of seeing dragons. Roasting anyone who fleed or screamed, the dragons remind us that this is not for the faint of heart. Though Violet is part of Dane's squad, Xaden steps in to make sure they are in his wing, the fourth wing. And he isn't going to make this easy. Dum, dum, dum. Yes, it was a very exciting chapter.
Yeah, it was a great chapter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but when I first read Dane's first appearance, I physically felt Violet's relief.
Yeah.
Like, I felt the weight lifted off my chest. I felt, okay, like, someone's here to take care of me. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wrote, squee, bumped into Dane.
I don't know. I instantly felt safe, and all the anxiety from the first 2 chapters just completely melted away.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, are we going to get a friends to lovers kind of situation here? Though, I mean, I say that, but I also know that Rebecca Yarros on her Instagram post said it was enemies to lovers, but there could have been a friends to lovers first.
Whatever.
She didn't have to just have one boyfriend or whatever, I don't know. Friends to lovers is not my favorite trope, but if Dane is as hot as Violet says he is, I can get on board with it.
Yeah, and I think like her feelings are very obviously there. Like we've already alluded to that.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, this is what she needs right now. Like I'm glad she has that.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, I don't know what it says about me, but I love how he's like taking care of her and he's being bossy about it. And like he really took control of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like when he took his thumb or like his fingers and like lifted her chin, I was like,
Chin lifts?
I love a chin lift.
I love a chin lift.
I
Who
thought you were-
doesn't? No.
Some people don't like it.
What?
Some people think it's like infantilizing.
So, no. I think
it's so tender.
And I don't think I don't think this is an open invite for men to just go and lift random chins, but like
No.
when the relationship is established, like
or you're on the precipice.
And like consent has been
implied. Yeah.
A chin lift is just the right thing to do.
It really is. I love it.
Yeah. No, I definitely had written that. I love it.
I also love that even when she's like freaking out, nauseated from the adrenaline rush, you know, she is unwell.
Yeah. But
she's still flirting with Dane.
Yeah.
Love that for her.
Yeah. She wants it. Yeah, it was pretty funny. They meet on page 34. I don't know where you're at in your scrolling, but they explain a bit better that we learn that dragon riders get powers, like from their dragons and stuff. And so I wrote down, I'm going to say this now, maybe I'm wrong, but I predict that Violet will have the illegal mind reading powers. Okay. Because I felt that it was weird to have said that in the first chapter. Anyway, that's my prediction.
All right.
We'll see where that goes, but...
Okay.
Yeah, so he's taking care of her. Mm-hmm. And he brings her to her room.
His room.
His room.
Yeah.
Which is for second years and she shouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. But oh my goodness, I can't take care of you anywhere else but my bedroom. The whole chapter felt very much that tone.
Again, that went right over my head. I did not think twice about it.
But I loved it. It was great. Their whole banter is just like
it's so great.
It's great. It's cheesy. I love it. Like, basically, like, I felt like it was funny because, like, in those moments, I was like, wow, like, Rebecca Yarros knows what her audience wants. And, like, it felt like almost like a checklist. Like, she was like, okay, we established the forbidden fruit already, like, at the beginning, like, Xaden's bad, forbidden fruit, okay? Now we're establishing childhood bond with, like, longing. So you already have, like, ooh, like, the friends to lovers, like, potential. And then that moment of, like, he sees you different. Because at one point...
Oh, because with the riding
leather, she's like, he looks at her differently. Yeah. Which is, like, oh my God, that moment of, like, him looking...
she called him out. She's like, you've seen me in dresses. You've seen me in bathing suits.
Yeah.
And this is what does her...
Yeah. And then, like, the whole trope of, like, oh, let me heal you. And the very blatant banter. Like, I just felt like she was checking box after box. Like, we're only in chapter 3 and she's like, yep. And I was like, she knows what her audience wants.
You know, she has 6 kids.
She has 6 kids?
Yeah.
Well, good for her. That is a lot
so
of
I think
children.
she spent a lot of time with, like, teenagers.
Okay.
And she seems like a cool mom.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why she writes young people so well, is because she's so, like, in touch with them.
That makes sense. How old are her kids? Ish.
Like, she has a grown daughter who I think is married.
Okay.
And then she's got college-age kids and then young teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that could be why she understands their voice very well.
Maybe. So I had to say, I was on board with Dane through all of the flirting and, like, him taking care of her until he's like, we got to get you into the scribe quadrant. And I'm like, dude, you know her mom is forcing her to be a rider. She's told you her mom is forcing her to be a rider. And her mom is the boss of this entire school. Like, what are you doing? What do you think is going to happen?
I got so mad.
Yeah.
Because, like, I wrote, like, pivotal moment. Like, because I agree. I was so on board with everything. I was like, they're cute. The banter's good. Like, it's great. But that moment, just, for me, I was like, it was just like he didn't believe in her.
Yeah, just another person.
Yeah.
But now it's somebody who's on the inside.
Yeah, and it just felt like you were supposed to be her friend. You were supposed to be the one who is there to support her.
Yeah.
And you just messed up. You just told her you don't believe in her, which was so upsetting. Like, I find, like, support...
Very important.
It's so important in a relationship. Like, oh my God, if my husband didn't support me in all my insane ideas and, like, my wild creative career, this one included, like, being in the arts and stuff, like, I always have a million things on my plate and I'm always on the go and I always have these crazy ideas and I tend to be like, I have this idea, I have to do it this way. And my husband just supports me through it. And if he didn't support me and didn't believe in me, like, I would, like, that would just break our relationship. Like, it's such an important, to me, part of our relationship.
Yeah, you need to feel like you've got someone in your corner.
Yeah.
That no matter what, someone's got your back. And I completely agree with you. This is when I started to waver because I love that he's yelling, like you feel his desperation. Like he just wants to keep her safe and keep her alive. And I find, again, like, I don't know what this says about me, but the fact that he was so desperate, I found that really like sweet. That he's, that he obviously cares so much about her, but it's just is tainted by, I don't know.
I know. It was such a like on-off switch moment. I was just like, oh no, like this, like, no, I just don't believe in them for a relationship anymore. Yeah. Which made me
I had hope that, he was going to come around, that she was going to be successful. I mean, obviously, like, we know she's not going to die because we have however hundreds more pages left.
Yeah.
So I knew that we have a story to tell here. So odds are she's going to be successful, at least in the short term. So I was hoping that maybe that would change things. So I held on to hope, but that's also me. I'm delusional like that. I'm not so... Yeah. I give a lot of chances.
Which is fair, and I think giving second chances and stuff is fair, but it's the right thing to do. But I just also think in this type of book context, I was like, oh, there's your red flag.
Oh,
like,
yeah. For sure.
That's done. For sure. But anyway, we carry on. She doesn't run away.
Yep.
And then we go out into the rotunda.
They go into formation.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
The way these groups are laid out.
Yeah.
Is the most confusing thing.
I know.
I reread it multiple times and I was like, this is going to take me weeks to actually figure it out. Like, my brain just couldn't.
Okay, in fairness, like, it really doesn't matter all that much.
Okay, good.
It really doesn't matter all that much. Like, you just have to know that the squads and the sections and the wings are just ways to organize themselves and, like, the different activities that they do.
Which is fair.
Like, the wings are, like, their houses.
Yeah.
Like,
What, that's easy to... Yeah.
Yeah.
There's four. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's easy.
And within each wing, there are 3 sections.
Yeah.
And then within each section, there are 3 squads.
Right.
So it's really not that complicated.
Yeah, it is. There's too many groups, and I couldn't keep track what she was trying to say. Fine. I thought it was too complicated. I did fall upon a chart this week.
Okay.
And I let myself look at it because I have been avoiding anything fourth wing related, but I did look at it because it helped my brain. I'm also very visual.
Yeah.
It helped my brain kind of see it better.
Okay.
But when I just read it, I was like, oh, this is complicated.
Yeah. But I think this is, again, where I just take it and move on.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We find out Zayden is part of the fourth wing or head of the fourth wing.
Wing leader.
Wing leader of the fourth wing.
Yeah.
So that's exciting because I was like, oh, that's why it's called fourth wing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You were right because you said, oh, I think it's a group of people.
It's true. I did say that.
Yeah.
I'm smart sometimes.
You are. When they're in formation and they're getting divided up into sections, did you notice where, like, she catches Zayden's eye and she, like, lifts her chin in defiance?
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Yeah. She's not going to let him, like,
bully her.
Yeah, which I love. Again, just, like, she's fiery and strong. I like her.
I like her, too.
I also like that we learn that the dragons need their riders. Mm-hmm. Like, that they're... Once they, like, bond with a rider, like, they're almost, like, they can't live without them, right?
Well, they have a strong bond,
Mm-hmm.
But the dragon can live without the rider. The rider cannot live without the dragon.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood that.
Yeah. Okay. That's why they say a dragon without a rider is a tragedy, but a rider without a dragon is dead.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to the fourth wing.
Right.
Dun, dun,
okay.
dun.
Anyway, I liked that detail. And it made me think, and I forgot to look it up, but there was a movie, I want to say in the 90s, called Dragonheart. And it's about a dragon and human who, like, basically share a heart, like a lifeline. And then if one of them dies, the other one dies.
Interesting.
And I have to look it up because I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it's like that memory like flooded back to me. I was like, oh my God, Dragonheart. Anyway.
Okay. Which goes to show who's the artist. Who's the artsy one and who's the accountant.
I also, like, my parents were very nerdy and, like, passed on a lot of, like, fantasy and, like, stuff, like, in my upbringing, right?
My parents pass on opera.
Oh.
Like, I did not listen to the radio until I was like in the 4th or 5th grade when like I was getting made fun of in school because I didn't know who Britney Spears was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My dad wanted our father-daughter dance to be to an aria.
Well, it could have been.
No.
Okay.
No. Like, that's why I was a weird kid. Because that's what my dad, and it was an aria about death.
Okay. Well, anyway.
But he was like, but it's a beautiful song. I think it might be like an immigrant thing.
Okay.
There's like a disconnect there.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But you turned out fine.
I turned out fine.
So
well,
there you go.
I mean, some people would argue.
How do you think you would react seeing a dragon?
Okay, so this really depends on the type of dragon, because in my mind, and I know this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, there is zero, there's actually negative evidence to support this. But whenever, to this day, even though I've seen fan art, and I've read this book going on 3 times, whenever I think of the dragons, I think of dragon tales.
Oh my God.
I do not think of like a scary dragon. I think of a cartoon.
That is hilarious. Okay. Well.
So I think I would be fine.
That's amazing. Okay.
I was a PBS kid.
I watched Dragon Tales too, but like my dad also read The Hobbit to me as a bedtime story. So like I always, I don't know. I always picture dragons as like smog, like giant, huge.
But they are.
I know.
Like, I am clearly in the wrong.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying you're right.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's very cute.
Thank you. So, yeah.
That's funny. Okay. I think I'd be scared.
I'd like to think. Reaction.
I like to think I'd be like, oh wow, a dragon, but I think I'd pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think that I just like held it together, because if you pass out, I think if you pass out, they leave you be. If you run away, they kill you.
Yeah. I think I would pass out though. Anyway, so they get divided, whatever, and then the speech.
Xaden's speech.
We finally get to see dragons.
Yeah.
And it's like the awe and fear I felt was like felt reading it. You're like, okay, these guys are like, they have a wicked personality. They're not there to make friends. Like, they will be ruthless and kill you. Like, you really felt all of that. So it was very intimidating, but also kind of exciting. But I like that, like, the dragons seem to have personalities.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to keep in mind that these dragons bond with the riders, so there has to be some level of connection there.
Right.
But I also think it's really important that they're inspiring this level of respect for the dragons, because the riders, essentially, like, the dragons could exist without the riders. Like, the riders need the dragons more than the dragons need the riders.
Yeah, but they also need the riders to like direct their powers. Like, there was a kind of alluded.
I don't know if they talk about it yet, but like, dragons have their own powers, and then they channel power through the rider, which is the signet powers.
Right.
So again, the dragon can exist without the rider and be powerful without the rider.
Okay.
So
why do they choose to bond?
That's a great question. So that we could have a story to read.
Okay. We'll go with that. Let's not overthink it.
Yeah.
And then also seeing how they killed anyone who ran away or screamed and stuff. Like, it just kind of made it clear. I was like, oh, okay, that's why they won't bond with a weak person.
Yeah.
Like, they made it very clear. It all made sense in the end.
Yeah, for sure. So something that we haven't really talked about, but to me kind of hints at what's to come, is that even after Violet's squad has been moved into the Fourth Wing, and she's scared about being under his command and blah, 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 she says he smirks at her, and then she adds, like, she has to add, on his handsome face.
Yeah. She's obviously very attracted to this.
Yeah, like, this
individual.
girl has it so bad.
Yeah. From the get-go. From the moment she saw him, she was like,
I am so here for it.
Yeah. Oh,
as a married woman who is very, very far from, like, that time where like you and
Yeah.
butterflies and you're like, oh, does he like me? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I love.
For sure.
It's so fun.
And that's the end of chapter 3.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
there's his speech, but we talked about it when I read the...
Initially, yeah.
Yeah, when I read the back cover of the book. So I think we can go into our final awards of the day.
Okay. Oh, I put the most romantic part as he takes my chin between his thumb and forefinger, turning my face left and right for inspection. It was cute.
We love a chin lift.
We love a chin lift.
We love a chin lift.
You?
I don't think I put one.
Oh, no. Okay.
You know what? I think this is a trend. I have a spiciest line.
Okay, go.
So it's when Violet is like leaving Dane's room and she goes, oh, I toss over my shoulder as we walk into the hallway. I can do quite a few things with my tongue. You'd be impressed.
Yeah, that was actually a great one. I don't know how I missed that. I just put, are you telling me it's the leathers that do it for you? But I like yours better.
Okay, so then that leaves us with
Funniest.
the funniest.
Again, I just went with cheesy. Because,
Okay.
like, I don't know how many, like, funny moments, but I just found this so ridiculous. Like, when she says, I could throw in a few, oh, Dane cries.
Oh, yeah.
Once we're in your room, just for believability.
I found that funny.
I found it funny, too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God.
But I love how, like, she's so sassy. She's so forward. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like,
That's
yeah,
why
go get it, girl.
I agree, and that's why I love their banter, and I was so invested until that moment. So.
Yeah.
And thus
And that is the end of our first episode.
Yeah.
It's a little bit chaotic.
That, we'll find our beat.
You know what? I embrace the chaos.
Same.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Please rate this podcast and leave a review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us to. It'll help other people find us. You can follow us on Instagram at bookboundpod and on TikTok at Book Bound Besties. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please email us at bookboundbesties@gmail.com. Let's get to reading. So for next week, please read chapters 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
It ends really well, in a really good spot. I think we're going to keep going 3 chapters at a time because there are 39 chapters. So it's a nice kind of round way
it out.
Yeah. So I think let's do that. Let's not break our heads and look at it every time. I think we're going to be fine doing it that way.
Perfect.
So I'm very excited for
Me
you.
too.
Thank you so much for listening. Please rate this podcast and leave a review on whatever platform you are using to listen to us. It'll help other people find us. You can follow us on Instagram at bookboundpod and TikTok at bookboundbesties. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please email us at bookboundbesties@gmail.com. Let's get to reading.